We have some technical difficulties, so even though it's 6 o'clock, we're going to wait until we get them resolved. So we should be starting here shortly. Get in. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order if Karen gets over here.
Technology, it works great if they need to use it. Good.
Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Mr. Majors? Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton? Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item, the Board Vice President will lead us in a moment of silence.
Thank you. As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in any other silent activity. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Jordan Smith, who's a fifth grade student at Spring Creek Elementary.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jordan, how are you?
Good.
Where are you from?
Spring Creek.
Spring Creek. That's a long ways out there. Do you drive in every day?
No.
What grade are you in?
Fifth.
Fifth grade. What's your favorite subject?
Math.
Math. So you're one of those that understand all the math problems. So everybody's coming to you to figure out how to do math, right?
Yeah.
Somewhat. I almost asked you if you had a girlfriend, but I won't go there. That's not even funny, is it? So tell me who your teacher is and a little bit about what you do every day.
Miss Lundy, and well, at the beginning of the day, we go to specials, and then we have to switch classes to Miss McAuliffe, which is our math and science teacher.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, we go back to Miss Lundy's, and we do social studies, and then we go to recess, and then after that, we read and do stuff like that.
Okay. Do you have any siblings? Any brothers, sisters?
I have a brother and a sister.
Are they older, younger?
Older.
Older. So do you bother them ever?
Sometimes.
I bet you do. So next year, where are you going? What school will you go to next year?
I don't know.
Now, come on. If you're at Spring Creek, what school? You're probably going to go across the street, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I bet you go over there to, let's see, would it be Oneida Ridge? No. What's across the street? Childers, there you go. All right. Well, it's good to meet you tonight. I'm glad, I give everybody a hard time that gets up here. So you and I just talking. I love your purple shirt, and you look really good in that tie.
Thank you.
Do you have more than one tie?
Yeah.
Hey, all right. You're going to be a superintendent. Can we take a picture with you?
Yeah.
All right. This is Miss Kelly. She's about your size.
Nice job, Jordan.
Good job.
Good job.
Next item on the agenda is the formal adoption of the agenda. There have been no items brought to my attention at this time, so I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
We have a motion and second to formally adopt the agenda. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item are the minutes of October 15th, 2015. They're the special meeting minutes. If there are any questions, I'd certainly entertain those. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion on this item.
Recommend approval.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the October 15th, 2015 special meeting minutes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
I need to abstain.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item are the minutes of October 19th, 2015. Those are the regular meeting minutes. If there are questions,
Nope. Recommend approval.
Second.
we have a motion and second to approve the October 19th, 2015 regular meeting minutes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Abstain.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item under summary of awards and achievements, Ms. Andrea Sagely.
We skipped number 7.
Oh, apologize. If you would just step aside. My eyes went to a starred item here, so we'll entertain Mr. Ken Ellett.
I get skipped a lot. President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall Board, it is my pleasure tonight to talk to you about, anytime you win a state championship, there's a lot of things that go into winning a state championship. Normally you have a great coaching staff, you have a great group of student athletes, and they just do things right and you win a state championship. But when you start winning multiple state championships and winning like 4 in a row, there's some special things going on in that program. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the head coach of our girls cheerleading squad, who just won their 4th state championship, Miss Amy Hall.
Thank you very much. We are a co-ed team. We do have three gentlemen on our team right here in front. The first time we won state was amazing. Second time was really cool. Third time, awesome. And fourth time, we just keep doing it. And it's all because of these kids, really. It's kind of hard to keep them quiet in the hallway because they all have their medals on. Some of our seniors have 3 around their neck. So, it's a great achievement for these kids to just keep doing it year after year. They are athletes. I'll put them right up there against anybody else on any team. Physically, we do everything. They lift weights to get stronger. We tumble, we jump, we're in pyramids, and we have to do all of this in a 2-minute period, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is extremely difficult to do. And these kids just keep doing it every year. And we go to Orlando in February to compete. We will be in the small varsity co-ed division and the small varsity all-girl. And that offers us an opportunity to get everybody on the floor. Because believe it or not, this is not my entire team. I have 32 kids on our team. So we've got 20 that will compete in the co-ed and 12 that will be in the all-girl routine. So we're really excited to get everybody on the floor and get that opportunity to show how awesome our kids are. So anyways, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Before I do, I'd like to thank the athletic department administration for their support of our program, my assistant coaches who couldn't be here today, Alicia Palmer and Tori Turner, and our administration at the high school and my elementary school. Yay. Go Leisure Park. So anyways, and the board, there's completely supportive of our program, and we only, are the way we are because of the support that we get back. So thank you very much. I'm going to let the kids introduce themselves and tell what grade they are in.
I'm Caitlin Mathis, and I'm a senior.
I'm Morgan Moore, and I'm a senior.
I'm Megan Greenhoff, and I'm a senior.
I'm Kristen Craig, and I'm a senior.
I'm Sam Bennett, and I'm a senior.
I'm John Segura, and I'm a senior.
I'm Max Cisneros, and I'm a senior.
I'm Autumn Thomas, and I'm a senior.
I'm Lauren Ritchie, and I'm a senior.
I'm Maya Weston, and I'm a junior.
I'm Lexi Sherwood, and I'm a junior.
I'm Ashley Vaughn, and I'm a junior.
I'm Kristen, and I'm a junior.
I'm Destiny Gray, and I'm a junior.
I'm Madison Moore, and I'm a junior.
I'm Reagan Isham, and I'm a junior.
I'm Paige Moore, and I'm a junior. I'm Nikki Stevens, I'm Ashley Pratt, and I'm a sophomore. I'm Haley Stevens, and I'm a sophomore. I'm Jamie Blaine, and I'm a sophomore. I'm Allie Bennett, and I'm a sophomore. I'm Lucy Bryan, and I'm a sophomore. I'm Shelby Ford, and I'm a sophomore. I'm Maddie Farley, and I'm a junior.
So we have an army of kids. One other thing I'm super proud of, we got this award last year too. We got the Academic Achievement Award from the OSSAA. You have to have a 3.25 overall GPA, and we had a 3.55. So I'm super proud of all these kids for what they do on the field and off.
If you'll come across, we'll shake your hand, and you guys can actually kind of walk right through to the door, because I imagine you don't want to stay for the entire meeting. So, Miss Mathis, I think you're first, right?
Yes.
Come on up. Congratulations. You bet.
Congratulations.
Great job. Good job.
Congratulations.
We appreciate it. Good job, guys.
Congrats.
And the freshmen.
Congratulations.
Backbone right there.
Good job. Good job, ladies.
Coach House said it, but I will tell you that you win it once. Sometimes you just happen to get there. You win it twice. But when you win it 4 times, that's called a program. So very, very proud of these young ladies and gentlemen. I will tell you, the parents in the room, thank you. I do realize what it takes. I've had a couple of them myself, and it costs a lot of time and money to do what they do. So I do appreciate the parents and the commitment that they've had to their children. So thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda, Miss Andrea Sagely.
Well, Dr. Mendenhall, President Kelly, and members of the board and audience, thank you for having us back this month. I need some of those cheerleaders at our robotics tournaments. I think that would be great. So tonight I have the honor of talking about the Broken Arrow Junior Bot Ball program that we started last year. And for those of you that don't know, bot ball refers to a small little robot, which you'll see in a few minutes. They're autonomous robots, and officially it says they're autonomous robots that can perform desired tasks in unstructured environments, which means there's no remote controls for these little guys. So the students have to, and these are elementary students, they have to write the code for the robot. So they're given a challenge For example, there's one called Kiss the Can, and the robot has to start on the starting line, go up to the can, touch it, and come back, which is the very first challenge that they do. And we've got second graders all the way through fifth graders working on robotics right now. And so they have to write all of the code for that. And I gave on your papers on the back an example of code that students write on these teams. And you'll see some of that in a few minutes. But the students are writing in C program language, which later on, if they join middle school or the high school robotics team, will be what they're using on that as well. So they're using the same language that they're going to be using all the way up through high school. And we're really proud of these guys. So if you look at the little paper that I gave you, I just wrote down a few little fun facts about where we've come from since last year. So right now we have 14 elementary teams, and on those elementary teams we have 24 sub-teams. And so that's a lot of children participating. We also have 2 middle school teams that got involved this year. We have a total of 31 bots, which you'll see a bot in a few minutes. And we've received over $14,650 in grants to fund all of these robots, and $2,500 in donated money. So we had 250 students apply to be on the robotics teams this year in elementary school, and while that's a huge number, and we're so happy for that, you know, it's a team, and so we weren't able to. There can only be so many members on a team. And so we have 150 team members, but I'm really excited about the number of applicants because that shows that the interest in robotics is growing in Broken Arrow. And so students that did not get to participate on the team, they still will have access to the bot at school because the teachers can use it in the classrooms as well. We have 31 volunteer coaches who come in 1 to 2 times a week for practices with the students. And we are one of 10 districts in Oklahoma who are participating in a study with Harvard on after-school programs. And so they're looking at our bot program, and we're going to be able to measure the growth of their interest in STEM by the end of the time. So I just put also a few little fun facts in there to show you from last year and this year. But this year, we had several teachers apply for the State Department grants like we did last year. And so, like I said, we've been able to add 31 bots. And so I thought, well, it would be fun to show you a video of all of the things that we were doing, but what would be even better is if we brought some students here to show you the robots. So I would like to introduce Denise McGuire, who was the second STEM teacher in Broken Arrow. And she's at Arrowhead Elementary, and she'll introduce her students, and they wrote they programmed the bots for you tonight.
This is Kiara Kishoni. She's a 6th grader now at Centennial. She was on my team last year. And this is Paige Thompson. She's a 5th grade at Arrowhead this year, and she is a new member. And they're just going to show you the code that they've written. Paige, do you want to start with yours? So this is a code that Andrea was just talking about where it has to touch the can and go back.
Good job. So that's any student, that's challenge 1 when they start.
So this is at the state competition last year when you know 10 of the challenges beforehand that you have to write code for, and then there's a mystery challenge that you have to write the code on the site the day of, and she's going to show the mystery challenge. Sorry, technology is fun. Robotics is fun. Yes, that wheel's not gonna turn. So that's actually not what it's supposed to do, but we have this happen a lot where they try a code. Anybody who writes programming will tell you that it's all trial and error. So they just write code, they try again, they have to figure out how do I make the wheels turn, how do I make it do this. Some of the challenges, they have to park in each of the different squares. And so that's 3 different types of code that they have to write and get right because they can't change it once they're competing up at the judges table. So they work very hard with that. So good job.
Do you have any questions for me or for the students?
Well, I think it's very exciting to see the number of students that we've had grow, the ones that are participating in the program, which shows that we have a lot of success in the program. And I certainly appreciate that. And I know we're going to have some kind of a tournament or something going on the 21st of
Yes,
November?
November 21st.
You might want to expound on that.
Thank you. November 21st will be our second junior bot ball challenge, and it will be all, we have 15 of our teams participating, and it's a closed challenge. It's just for our district, so we can kind of have a practice time before state comes up in the spring. But they'll all be coming. Last year we had about 200 people show up, the families and people to watch, and this year we're expecting a lot more for that. But we are in need of judges for that tournament. So if anybody's interested in judging robotics, it's so easy. So contact me, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
The next item is Ms. Michelle Bergwall.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. I bring to you tonight a couple of things I wanted to give you some information on and make you aware of. The first one is Mr. Thompson's favorite of the 2 that I have, and that is that we did receive a rebate check last week from PSO. We have participated for several years in both their Cool Savers program and their Peak Performers program. And last week they gave us a check for our Peak Performers participation in the amount of $39,519. And what Peak Performers is during the summer months when PSO sees that they may have risk of having a blackout, they ask their larger energy users to turn up their air conditioning, and we turned it up by a whole 2 degrees for 2 different days, and for doing that for them, we received $39,000. So we think that's a pretty good deal for the district. Over the years, between those 2 programs, and the other program is the Cool Savers, which is the lighting retrofits and tune-ups to our HVAC units. In fiscal year 2013, we received $9,800. In fiscal year 2014, we received $16,000, and last year in fiscal year 2015, we actually received $114,525, and that was really the year that we did a lot of lighting retrofits and a lot of tune-ups to our HVAC units. I don't think they offer the tune-ups anymore, but as you can see, we do try to take advantage of those when we have the opportunity.
Well, and that's really exciting because, energy costs are significant in a district, along with, the budget shortfalls that we seem to always be impacted by. This is another way that we can demonstrate as a school district that we're doing all we can to reduce costs when we can. So I appreciate that very much.
Great. The next item I wanted to make you aware of, and I'm going to call some people up here to help me. I have Mr. Tolomeo, our Director of Construction, if he'll come up, and Mr. Russ Peavy with Flint Co., and Miss Brittany Driscoll, also with Flint Co. Flint Co. and us were the recipient of the 2015 ABC Excellence in Construction Award for our Broken Arrow Indoor Practice Facility and Track Complex. So that's due to the hard work of these individuals right here. Brittany and Russ work for our construction manager, Flint Co., and then of course Bob is Bob the Builder, our director of projects.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda are the comments from the public. Seeing that we do not have any, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the general consent agenda items 12 through 45.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the general consent agenda items 12 through 45. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. The next item, let me click it here. The next item on the agenda under Superintendent Board of Education Communications, Dr. Mendenhall.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, we have before you tonight a resolution. This is a resolution to actually support the bond issue that is being voted on tomorrow. I believe that the city bond is being voted on, and we have a resolution before you that I believe that we're going to read out loud and make sure that everyone is in agreement and then actually vote on that. So, Ms. Kelly, I'll turn it over to you to maybe read the resolution out loud.
Yes, I'll go ahead and do that at this time. A resolution of the Broken Arrow Public Schools Board of Education members expressing support for the City of Broken Arrow's proposed street repair projects, public safety, staffing, and acquisition of equipment, vehicles, and technology for public safety purposes pursuant to an election to be held on November 10th, 2015 in the City of Broken Arrow, capturing sales tax from the sunset of the Tulsa County Vision 2025 program. Whereas on November 10th, 2015, there is a scheduled election called by the City Council of the City of Broken Arrow in which citizens will vote on 2 sales tax initiatives, and whereas this election seeks voter approval of sales taxes for the purpose of repairing, improving, constructing, and maintaining city streets, sidewalks, and related stormwater improvement, as well as the staffing of public safety personnel and the acquisition and replacement of public safety vehicles, equipment, technology, and apparatus, and whereas the resolution calling the election, the related ordinances and additional information regarding the proposed expenditures have been provided to the citizens of Broken Arrow through various media outlets, public meetings, social media, and on the city's website. And whereas the proposed projects and purposes are for the betterment of the citizens of Broken Arrow and specifically for the overall health, safety, and welfare of the Broken Arrow community, and whereas the Broken Arrow Public Schools is supportive of the city's efforts and recognizes that the proposed projects and expenditures will help meet the ongoing needs of the citizens of Broken Arrow. Now therefore it be resolved by the Broken Arrow Public Schools Board members that support the street repair projects, public safety, staffing, and acquisition of equipment, vehicles, and technology for public safety purposes pursuant to an election to be held on November 10th, 2015 in the City of Broken Arrow is hereby expressed. So that is before us to be voted.
I recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to adopt the resolution that was read just a moment ago. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson.
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. The next item, Dr. Mendenhall.
Yes, this item is to vote on motion, discussion motion, and vote on motion to approve or disapprove the call of an election for board seat Zone 1. I believe it's Mr. Allen's board seat that comes up every 5 years. The total cost to the district is approximately $40,000 to basically have this election. So I'm bringing that to you tonight.
If there are no questions, I would move this item.
Recommend approval.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and second. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson.
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. The next item, Dr. Mendenhall.
Yes, Madam President, tonight I bring forward to you our quarterly update for our strategic plan. As you know, this is our third and really final year of our strategic plan. You may remember that 3 years ago we spent quite a bit of time of really involving the community and really looking at what we needed in our community. And we have a very comprehensive strategic plan. So tonight what I'm going to do is give you an update, and our plan would be to give you another quarterly update, and then probably our fourth quarter we will begin the process of looking at authorizing a new strategic plan, and some of those goals and objectives may wind up moving on into the next strategic plan. So the cabinet is here tonight to kind of give you each one of those areas. So I believe first up is Dr. Dunlop.
Good evening. Oops, hold on. Uh-oh. Where am I supposed to click on this?
There we go. Okay, so this year in our strategic plan, we have 5 action plans that will be completed in our year 3. This is our 3rd year. We have 2 of those in teaching and learning, which I'll review, 1 in human resources, 1 in co-curricular, and 1 in communications. So the first action plan that we'll complete in teaching and learning is the action plan that establishes and maintains partnerships that allows students to gain real-world applications of curriculum. So in a nutshell, our goal is to make sure that students not only have the technical side of the curriculum, but have real-life experiences in how to apply curriculum to real life. So some examples of that we have built in the last few years are KEP, our Career Explorations program, our Robotics, which we just have brought back to the high school with FIRST Robotics. We've partnered with Tactical Electronics, Empty Bowls, Intro to Manufacturing, all of these programs through tech and through college and career that we've been able to establish those. So those establish those connections to life, those applications. We also added our Executive Director of Public Relations through Amanda Summers. That has really done a great job as far as establishing more and more partnerships in our community. Andrea Sagely through our STEM program has also created more programs. The main thing that we still lack and will be doing in this year 3 is that we need to continue to review the policy and procedures that we have that surround building those partnerships. And then also integrating some more experiential learning through our middle schools and our elementaries. And so this is a work that's still in progress. The second goal that teaching and learning has is that creates a post-secondary plan for every secondary student at Broken Arrow Public Schools. We've come a long way in this one as well, and we've met most of this goal by establishing Naviance that tracks students' plans of study, ACT, SAT scores. It also has an ACT prep component that we have just now put into place. We'll be adding all of our high school students. A lot of them are already enrolling in after school and evening classes so that they can have ACT prep. And then we've also sent five counselors to an institute in the summer to be trained on that. And our next step is to really push forward the plans of study for all of our seniors, unless our new SMS system will do that within that program. So our plan on this is near completion. We will complete all of our 9th grade students being integrated into Naviance, and then we'll continue just to train with this tool, and it will be complete. Thank you.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Mendenhall, members of the board. Our action plans in human resources were actually scheduled for completion in year 2, but we were asked to continue to report on action plan 2.1.1, which is to enhance the district's benefit program to recruit, develop, and support a dynamic workforce which will enable all students to be successful. At our last annual update for year 2, we talked about adding an employee assistance program. We talked about adding tuition reimbursement programs for both certified and support employees, and improvements in district paid life and AD&D insurance. And to kind of move forward with that, even though that plan was somewhat complete, it's also an ongoing plan. This is a process that really never ends. And so we were asked to continue to report in these areas. And some of the strategies that we're focusing on for this year is we're currently evaluating an employee benefits employee self-service portal that would give employees computer access to their benefit plans, and also allow us to do option period enrollments and things through the use of computers rather than the paper forms that we're currently using. We're also evaluating online or telephone physician visit services. This was actually an idea of Mr. Allen's during one of the subcommittee meetings. He mentioned it to us and sounded intriguing, so we've are are starting to investigate that and looking at some options there. This would allow employees 24/7 access to a doctor, either via telephone or via Skype or FaceTime or something like that, typically at a very low copay or sometimes even no copay. So we think this would be a good service. Partly because the last item that we have that we're still working on is we're continuing to evaluate some type of an employee health clinic option and working with the state health plan. But that's been kind of slow going. The state agencies move kind of slowly sometimes, and so we may be able to provide some additional services to our employees before the state's able to come up with a way to do the health plans. So our next steps are really to continue those processes this year.
First off, it's good to see Mr. Allen is giving you suggestions in your area, because he gives me lots of suggestions on how to improve the athletic and the co-curricular world too. So
I see why I got kicked out of there.
We have a daunting task to get every student pre-K through 12 involved in an extracurricular activity. We will not reach that this year. We're still ongoing, still being a challenge, but we do have some highlights of some things that are going really well. Our biggest challenge right now is just collecting the data at all the elementary and middle school sites of all the clubs and all the students that are involved. That's going to be ongoing until probably third or fourth quarter report to you, and that's a daunting task with 27 sites and connecting with all the principals and figuring out what kids are involved and making sure that we are reaching our goal at some point down the line of 100% graduation. I did want to brag on a few things that our sites have done, and as a district as a whole we have accomplished over this past year since I talked with you. One of the things, just little things, that we added an 8th grade football team this year. We added numbers to our program, seeing more participation in that area. And again, instead of making cuts and reducing numbers, we focused on adding a team there. Our 9th grade Tigets, we had a lot of participation out within our dance program, and added a coach, and that gives more opportunities for kids to get involved, and again increases our numbers. In junior high golf, we added a practice squad this year. We typically have cuts with that. We had a great group of kids that come out, and they showed that they had a passion for golf and have some maybe some long-term potential. Instead of cutting them, we allowed them to be involved in the program. We're setting up some practice times with them throughout the year. Fine arts is just exploding, especially at the high school. We've had to add a choir position, assistant choir director there, that we're looking to fill just because of the increased enrollment. Mr. Rosser is facing over 150 plus students throughout the day in our select choir program. Our dance program that we started last year that we were very excited about, we have doubled our numbers in that program this year. They have a partnership with the Tulsa Ballet now, and that seems to be something that I think will just take off more and more over the next couple years. Talked a lot about the Air Force JROTC, close to 100 kids in that, and starting to build the program and getting some momentum. I don't know if you've been out to see any of our sporting events, football games. The Jungle, it's an open student group that supports Broken Arrow Tigers in a myriad of events, not just football, but also this year they've hit softball games, cross-country meets, volleyball games, and our numbers have just been incredible. One indication of that, to join, you get a t-shirt, and we've sold over 1,000 t-shirts this year. Participation, again, we want kids to be involved and buy in. Our homecoming dance 2 years ago had 150 students show up to that. This past month we had over 1,000 students attend that dance. We're trying to push increasing the depth of engagement. We're having our football players out and going out to the youth teams and helping them coach, the Tigets too, and that involves those elementary kids and gets them excited about being a Tiger down the road. I think the biggest thing that we're going to have to push in our next steps is more of a focus on the middle school and at elementary levels. We've got a lot of great clubs out there with our principals, but they do need some more support. They do need some more help to get those clubs to grow, and that's something we're going to work on throughout the year. And I hope to give you a report more about that elementary groups as the year progresses.
Good evening. Communications had one communications action plan to report on this year. And essentially what we're trying to do is just to increase the effectiveness of our communications, not just one way, but two-way with all of our constituents and stakeholders. In doing so, one of the things that we've really focused on over the summer and into this year are streamlining our job responsibilities and our job functions, so we were able to free up more time for our staff to interact with not only the public, but also our internal staff to help them do the best that they can do in their communications. We've also revamped and rebranded our AeroVision. It was BATV, now it's known as AeroVision. We've relaunched Channel 20 on Cox Cable. We've also got an online presence through aerovision.tv. Our video production team is restructured, and they've moved into a new space over at Central on Main and are working as a team now as we're transitioning that team to collaborate together. And then our division as a whole is working more collaboratively together to make sure that we're maximizing opportunities to talk about our good news in the district. We've also spent a lot of time over the summer, and it's ongoing, updating the navigation and the content on our website. We've moved some things around, try to put them in places where our stakeholders might be able to find them a little more easily, and also targeted particular audiences with particular information. And kind of along the same lines, we're also evaluating a new content management system for our website so that we can determine if that's something that would be a good communication tool to invest in as we move forward. We'll continue to evaluate that with the help of technology and also instructional staff. We've also updated the website managers, our site managers. Each site has a web person who updates their websites so that people, again, can find news more easily and the content more easily. Those folks are a little more responsible this year for providing good news, not only for their websites, but also getting that back to the communications department so that we can share that out on our channels such as social media and our own main web pages. We've also done an overhaul of the staff newsletter. So we've got a regular communication going out to staff, and then Dr. Mendenhall is also sending out a separate communication to staff, and we're planning to incorporate video into that very soon. So again, enhancing our video production there. And then we're also using analytics to measure our progress. So now we can kind of see what kind of information is resonating with our constituents, and also determine where we can improve on our efforts there. We are also trying to review our policies and procedures, and that's something that will be ongoing as well. We've got to make sure that our staff, not only the communications department is doing things effectively, but it's also everybody's job to communicate, and we want to make sure that we're providing our staff with the best resources to do that and make sure that they understand the parameters under which they must operate under our policies and develop some procedures for them. So those are the kind of things that will be ongoing as we move into the end of this reporting period.
Thank you. I would like to take just a moment, certainly Dr. Mendenhall, to thank you. I do know that we did several years ago begin to engage on a strategic plan, which gave us a guide as we move forward. And I have to say, I think the process has been very thoughtful. We've had good stakeholder input and participation in the process. I certainly know beyond the leadership team, there are so many people in our school district that make things happen. We have 2,500 approximate employees in our school district that work with us to ensure that we are able to maximize and meet our vision and meet our mission. So certainly I want to compliment everyone who's had any part to play in this strategic plan. I do also understand that we'll be reviewing this further. It certainly helps us as we move forward. It keeps us very focused on the work and ensuring that we're doing the right thing for the students that we serve. So I appreciate it very much. The next item, Dr. Mendenhall.
Yes, Madam President, I want to talk a little bit tonight about our process with commissioning an actual study of our high school configuration. You know, since coming to Broken Arrow, one of the biggest conversations that I've had with a lot of different stakeholders has been, so when are you going to split up the high school and have 2 or 3 high schools? And my conversation has always been reverted back to the community will let me know when that's time to do that. Well, the community has spoken, and the community is now really during our last period of actually trying to pass a bond issue. There were a lot of conversations about when are we going to have this open dialogue and conversation. So what we've done is really began to dialogue about this. We started in July, and so once we started the conversation, it was really at a board retreat. We spent the better part of a day really just talking about what is the process, what do we need to do, how do we need to forego this, do we want to back up and do something different, how do we want to proceed. So one of the things we did was we came up with an overall plan. And the first step in the plan was to actually develop a process. And I'm going to share that with you tonight. But more than that, kind of tell you the other steps that we've taken to even get to tonight. Last month, we brought to you 2 different contracts. One of the contracts was with Business Information Services, and that was to have a demographer from Kansas City spend quality time of really looking at our demographics within our community. And so that has started. The other contract that you approved last month was a contract to Into Learning. And they were basically a group out of Dallas, Texas that will actually help facilitate the conversation about this process and what we need to do within our community to do this. This study is much more about than just evaluating if and when to divide. It's really developing a long-term plan. You guys know, as we've spoken before on this, is that what we want is a long-term plan. We want something that's going to take us into the next 30 years. And so when you do that, you're not talking about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen in a year. You're talking about really what's going to happen to our school district and what are the steps we're going to take in the next 30 years. A very important part of the process is keeping our patrons informed. Community members with an opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback is always important. And I think that's probably a key to this entire process, is making sure that not only are we talking about it and giving them information, but also giving them a chance to provide us feedback. You know, at the conclusion of the study, a steering committee will present to the board a comprehensive roadmap, and that roadmap will be presented to you in May of 2017. We've broken the process out by phases. We have a phase 1, which we're in right now. Phase 1 is really the preparation phase. Really, during this time, we're really doing some preliminary planning. We're asking people to serve on committees. We've hired our facilitators. We've hired the people that we need to help us with this work. Phase 2 will start in January of this coming year. January to March will be the planning stage. This is when our working groups, and I'll talk to you about that in just a moment, they will convene and begin their work of kind of putting plans together to present to our steering committee. Phase 3 is research, which will be from April to December of 16. And then phase 4 is the final recommendation and really looking at the process. I'm going to put up on the screen for you tonight really the process, because I feel like that this needs to be a process-driven plan. I apologize to those of you in the audience. It's going to be very hard for you to see. Plus, we used a lot of orange, and I know that is probably a powerful color for a lot of people that won over the weekend. I'm so glad there's people that understood that. Hey, I think they're ranked pretty high in the polls too, so that's going to be interesting to see. You know, when you start looking at this plan, what we've done is we've really tried to make sure that there's a process by which everyone understands what we're doing. You might notice in the middle section there is what's called a steering committee. The steering committee will be made up of 20 individuals. Of those 20 individuals, 2 of which will be students, juniors that are at the high school currently, that will serve on the committee. They'll be everything from parents, teachers, alumni, community members, and they'll be basically a steering committee. Their first meeting will be November the 17th, right here in this room. They'll evaluate data. They'll look at configuration options and stakeholder input to determine a recommendation plan for the board. There will be a chair that will be actually nominated by this group, and that person will come and give you periodic reports. You'll notice in that deep Tennessee orange color that there are 4 working groups. And those 4 working groups are really driven by about 10 to 12 people. And so what will happen is each of those boxes, you'll have on the far left-hand side, you'll have Dr. Dunlop. She will chair that committee. And what she will be doing is configuration and academics. So what she'll do is she'll look at the research of potential configurations. So we may decide, when I say configuration, it may be, let's go back to the intermediate concept and make 9th and 10th grades. If we do that, she would research that and tell you why that might work or not work. She'll research numerous high schools and maybe even academy approaches. She'll evaluate how configuration will impact academic achievement. And then finally, provide configuration recommendations to the other working groups. So what will happen is Dr. Dunlop will have 10 to 12 people that will work with her, and they will actually come and present to the steering committee at some point. The next one over, you'll see that Mr. Chuck Perry will be in charge of activities and engagement. He will look at research's structures of co-curricular programs for configuration options. He'll evaluate how that will impact student engagement and provide recommendations for program structure to other working groups. So basically what will happen, he'll look at all the things in athletics, in fine arts, and activities, and really, bottom line, student life. And we'll make recommendations accordingly. The next one over is infrastructure and facilities. That will be chaired by Ms. Michelle Bergwall. She'll evaluate the impact on the configuration options on facilities, safety, and technology. She'll also work directly with Mr. Daly, and Mr. Daly will work with her on what technology and what the things within the facilities that we'll need to do. So for instance, what's going to happen if we actually do a configuration? What will that look like? What kind of structure will we need? What kind of technology will we need? And all of those things will kind of work in tandem to provide to the steering committee. And then your last group, your last working group, is actually Finance and Human Resources, which is Mr. Thompson. He will chair that group. He'll have 10 to 12 people, and he'll coordinate the demographic study that's already started. He'll evaluate the financial and human capital that will be needed for any configuration. So it could be that we want to configure into academies, academic academies. What that will mean is what kind of capital needs, human capital needs will we need to do? In other words, how many teachers will we need for that configuration? How much will it cost? And then basically, what are the back-end issues that we may have? You can see there's 2 green boxes on each side. One is on the right-hand side. If you're looking down at it, on the right-hand side is an advisory committee. That advisory committee will be chaired by me. And what I will do is work with past superintendents. Dr. Oliver will work with me, and so will others. So I am working with some different people. We have other retired superintendents that have agreed to assist me, and what I will do is keep them informed and bring them in when needed to help advise us on anything or any changes that we see may need to happen. The green box on the left around the steering committee is actually the communications piece or portion of this. The chair will be Shelley Holland Handy, and her responsibilities will be basically making sure that internal and external communications are done correctly. For instance, we're going to do a survey. So when you survey a community our size, you have a chance of getting anywhere from 8,000 to maybe 12,000 responses of a survey. She'll be coordinating part of that. If we have any type of task force group that we need to go talk to, for instance, we may need to go to the high school and talk with just those staff members. She'll coordinate that work. So a lot of the work that she'll be doing is really both internal and external communication and working with people to make sure the process continues to play out. The next thing I want to just kind of mention and talk about, and I think this is really important tonight to read off these names and kind of give you an idea of who these people are, because their work will be so important to us now and into the future. So these folks have been carefully identified. I've spent a lot of time with my cabinet, internal folks, to really identify people that I really felt like could help us in steering, in looking at data appropriately. So these are the committee members that I'm recommending to you tonight. The first gentleman is Mr. Derek Beller. He's a parent in the district, has been an employee here. He's the director of Tulsa Tech Sand Springs campus. The next individual is Miss Amanda Bowser. She is the current Broken Arrow Public Schools Teacher of the Year. She's also a parent, a math intervention teacher at Oak Crest Elementary. Our third individual is Janet Brewster. She's a retired Broken Arrow High School teacher and a former parent of a Broken Arrow High School alumni. Miss Tiffany Bruton. She is a parent, a Broken Arrow High School alum. She is the Director of Public Affairs for Cox Communications. The next person is Ms. Liz Burns. She is our current Broken Arrow High School principal, has been in our district for quite some time, has been a teacher at the high school, and has a lot of knowledge and wisdom within our community and our staff, and also with our school district. Next one is Andy Callison. She is a parent, a Broken Arrow High School alum, and co-owner of Broken Arrow Diagnostic Medicine. The next one is Mr. Joe Cook. He is a pastor of Hope Church in BA and also a parent. The next individual is Miss Tiffany Freeman. She's a parent and a senior dermatology pharmaceutical sales specialist, and has 4 children in the school district now. The next individual is Miss Donna Grottle. She is our current AP Environmental Science teacher and works at Broken Arrow High School and was the 14-15 Broken Arrow High School Teacher of the Year. Mr. Greg Graham. He is a parent, 4 children in our school district. He is the chairman and CEO of First National Bank of Broken Arrow. Mr. Jeff Hewitt. He is also a parent. He is a partner and CPA of Sanders, Bledsoe, and Hewitt, right downtown BA. Miss Carolyn Holder. She is a retired Broken Arrow High School teacher, part-time professor at Tulsa Community College, and a community member. Mr. Todd, or Dr. Todd Pendergraft. He is a parent, pharmacist, and owner of Broken Arrow Family Drug. We also have, this is one of our students, John Apullium. is a Broken Arrow High School student. She's in the National Honor Society, Applied Leadership, and a soccer team member. Representative Michael Rogers is a parent, Oklahoma State representative, and he's a producer at the Arrow Group here in Broken Arrow. Also has students in our district. April Salisbury, she is a parent and went to Broken Arrow here as an alum and a BA Chamber of Commerce Senior Vice President. Mr. Max Smith. Max Smith is a retired Broken Arrow High School band director. I am so sorry, he is not that. He is a retired Broken Arrow Public Schools educator and board member, actually president of this board for a period of time. He's an alumni, a parent, and a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel. Mr. Tom Stout is a retired Broken Arrow High School band director, executive administrative assistant to the Tulsa Symphony Orchestra, conductor of the Tulsa Community College Band, adjunct professor of music at the University of Tulsa, parent of a BHS alumni. Our next person is Shelley Swisher. She is a current Broken Arrow High School teacher, parent of a Broken Arrow High School alum. And then lastly, another student from Broken Arrow High School, Mr. Jacob Taylor. He's also the junior board president, cross-country team, event team, and National Honor Society. You can see that the 20 people and the individuals that we have chosen are very, very well-versed. They come from all walks of life, from different stakeholder groups. Very proud of the group of people that we've chosen, and feel very strongly that they will be able to use or utilize both the quantitative and qualitative data that we will be collecting and then make a really good decision. My last thing, and then I will take any questions that you may have. The last thing is that realize that this is not going to be a letter folded up on May of 2017 and we hand someone the note and they open it and they say, we will become 5 high schools. That is not going to happen. What's going to happen is this is going to be a comprehensive study. This is going to be a comprehensive plan for what we're doing into the future. It will give us some benchmarking, some opportunity to really have a really good idea that's very public to everyone what we are going to do for our kids in Broken Arrow. So I wanted you to kind of understand that so that you don't feel like that on that date we're going to make such a major decision that we're going to do one thing or the other. If we were to make a decision today, it would take us 4 or 5 years to do whatever that decision would be, because we wouldn't probably have the capital, both human capital or the capital to build anything. So there's a lot of work to be done. I'm very, very excited about the work. In fact, I feel like that it's something that really can set us apart from those that have come before us and maybe even those that come after us. So I really appreciate you concentrating and spending your time with me tonight, listening to this, because it's really important to me that you understand that this is probably one of the most important things that we will do as a community, as a governing board, probably the whole time we're here. So I'll answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Dr. Mendenhall, I would like to make a couple of comments related to the steering committee and certainly related to the work that you've engaged in thus far as a result of your many conversations I'm certain you've had over this issue. I do believe we're moving in the right direction. I do believe this will be very challenging for all of us in the school district, but more importantly, I think you spoke very eloquently in that it will provide us a roadmap. And I think that is the most important thing. And again, I think it's going to benefit, and we always say this, the most important thing is the students that we serve. So I do appreciate that very much and appreciate all the people that you've involved in putting this together. But there may be other comments, and certainly want to provide anyone an opportunity to have that. Other than that, then I would entertain a motion.
I recommend approval.
We have a motion and second to approve the commissioning of a high school configuration study and the appointment of a steering committee members that were brought to us by Dr. Mendenhall. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item is Ms. Michelle Bergwall.
Good evening. Similar to last month, I bring you some information on the surplus real estate bid that we advertised and tried to receive bids on last week on Tuesday, November 3rd. It was for the property just south of the old Southside Elementary. It borders Elm. They're just at 81st and Elm, and we did not receive any bids on that, so we are moving into the negotiation phase, and I do believe we will be listing that with a realtor so that we can try to continue to sell that property.
Okay, and this is just for information, so we're not taking
Just for
any
information,
action.
yes.
All right.
Okay.
Any questions or any comments? Thank you.
Our next item is to hire KKT Architects for for architectural services on our high school renovation project. The high school renovation project will be funded in part of the first phase of our 2015 bond issue when we sell those bonds in April, and we would like to start programming on those projects. I put together here a fee schedule for you all for our architectural and construction management fees. We did go out for RFQ earlier this year and have a kind of a sliding fee schedule there. As you can see, when we have a GMP that is less than $3 million, we will be negotiating those fees and we'll be paying those in more of a hard fee. And then anything from $3 million to $10 million, 7% fee, and above $10 million, a 6% fee. And when I say $10 million or $3 million, that's the GMP, not the amount of bonds sold for that project.
Any questions? Ms. Bergwall, I appreciate very much this information. This is very helpful.
You're welcome.
The other thing that maybe just, could you mention, when you talk about an architect for the high school, I would think if I were a high school teacher, I might be sitting back here thinking, what does that mean? Does that mean what are they gonna do? So what are you looking at?
Well, what we anticipate to fund in the phase one portion of the bond is to build classrooms at the high school campus, as well as many other renovations that need to be done on that campus. Everything from, we've got some sidewalks and some things around the field house that need to be looked at. We have some ADA issues. We have some renovations and upgrades that need to be made to the stadium as we look at different code issues. And so a variety of things on the campus. We'll start having those discussions with the end users, the teachers, and the administration of that campus moving into the spring, really focusing on the classroom addition that needs to happen there and what that needs to look like.
I think they'll appreciate that because I think right now we've run out of classrooms. So maybe if we can start with that process pretty quickly, I think they would be very appreciative of knowing that we'll have at least a few classrooms coming up out of the ground quickly.
Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the award to KKT Architects, Inc. to provide architectural services related to the design, bidding, and construction of the high school classroom addition project and authorize the Chief Operating Officer to negotiate the terms of the contracts. The total cost to the district will be 7% of the cost of the work and will be paid from the 2015 bond funds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. Next item.
Our next item is to declare as surplus our property at 808 East College. As you are aware, this is the old North Intermediate campus. And as we look at that campus, you can see here we're not declaring as surplus the gymnasium, the land, or the auditorium, but the rest of the structures out there, we need to start looking at those as we make plans to dismantle. And so we need to go ahead and declare that campus as surplus.
Further questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the declaration of surplus property located at 808 East College, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, to declare the buildings and contents with the exception of the property, land, gymnasium, and auditorium as surplus to the needs of the district and authorize the Chief Operating Officer to dispose of the property in accordance with school district policy and state law. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item would be Mr. Ken Ellett, and it will have to do with the Broken Arrow Public School wrestling program.
Good evening again. The first item is I would ask you to accept a donation by Broken Arrow Electric Supply Company. And they are donating $3,000 to Broken Arrow Public Schools with the hopes of designating it towards the wrestling program.
That's very good news. Any questions or comments?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the donation from Broken Arrow Electric Supply, Inc. in the amount of $3,000 to Broken Arrow Public Schools. It will be designated to be used for financial support of the Broken Arrow Public School wrestling program. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you. My next item is also additional a gift to the school district by Broken Arrow Electric Supply Company to the football program for $4,000 is what you'd like to have that to go to.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the donation from Broken Arrow Electric Supply, Inc. in the amount of $4,000 to Broken Arrow Public Schools. It is designated to be used for financial support of the Broken Arrow Public School football program. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Chuck Perry.
The Instructional Time Task Force has been meeting the last year and a half to look at embedded collaboration and our school calendar. It has been made up of teachers and principals and parents and district directors, and we'd like to bring to you this evening recommending the implementation of embedded collaboration for the 16-17 school year. The reason that we feel like this is an important thing for our school district is because the research has really shown there's a direct correlation between implementing embedded collaboration within the district and student achievement. And when I'm talking about embedded collaboration, I'm talking about giving time during the school day for teachers to collaborate and work together and spend time on PLCs and the RTI process. The PLCs started actually about 5 years ago, and teachers and principals are finding time within the school day right now to have these PLC meetings, but it has been very difficult. They have to fit them in either before school, after school, create time somewhere in the school day with a planning period. It is very, very challenging, and it's hard to get these teams together. The PLC process involves students, and I'm going to let Mr. Officer go into a little bit deeper here in a minute, but it involves the time for teachers to look at student data and find ways to improve student learning by actually looking at the data. And the data is formed by common assessments that the teachers have created to determine if a student is learning or not. The embedded collaboration that we're looking at, we are, just to let you know, we are one of the last districts in the area to incorporate that in the school day. Jinx, Bixby, Union, and Sapulpa already have that as part of their district plan. So I feel like after a lot of discussion within our time task force that this is the timing is right. Again, I said we have been meeting for the past year and a half, once a month, and those meetings have been pretty spirited at times for those members in it. A lot of wouldn't say tears shed, but a lot of emotions shed on ways to make this work for our district, because we have to fit this in to make it work for Broken Arrow. We really, to be honest with you, came to the conclusion last spring to recommend it for this school year. But after talking about it more, we felt the timing wasn't right. But now, after meeting this fall with several meetings, we feel like the timing is right now. We are ready as a district. It's the next logical step in our PLC process. The specifics, what are we looking at within embedded collaboration? The committee would like to recommend a late start Wednesday occurring once a week within our district for all of our sites. That would include our ECCs, elementaries, middle schools, and high schools. We looked at a lot of ways to do it. You can do a late start, you can do an early release, you can do quarterly meetings, but we felt to really make an impact again on student achievement and to make it simple for our patrons and parents, that they're not going to have to look at a calendar and try to figure out when the next day is or when to bring their child late or early. We decided on that late start on Wednesday by 30 minutes on a weekly basis. Again, that shows some continuity, and as I'll introduce with our 16-17 calendar in a minute, it will make sense that starts the first Wednesday of the school year and goes to the end. I really tell you, we looked at it a lot of different ways. We looked at different days of the week. Again, we looked at late start, but the 30-minute just made sense for Broken Arrow and all the activities we had going on after school. We felt like this was, again, the logical thing to do. I want to stress a couple things when you say school will start 30 minutes later once a week. First off, the doors will open at the same time every morning, either if it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Every morning, parents will have the opportunity to drop their kids off at the regular time, and they will be supervised as usual. So if they do have to drop them off and go on to work, that opportunity will still be there, and they will be supervised by our teachers, paras, and what other staff that are available in the district at that time. But to accommodate for those large numbers, one thing that will change somewhat is a 30-minute later bus run in the morning. And talking with transportation, again, this was something that we discussed and really vetted out this process. Buses will run 30 minutes late on those Wednesday mornings. Both of those situations I think could be even special times for our parents to spend a little extra time with their kids in the morning. I know it's so hectic. I've been a part of the district that has incorporated this, and my children really enjoyed that opportunity, got a few things done in that morning, and on a Wednesday, again, it kind of breaks up the week, and I feel like it is a wise move by the committee to recommend this. We'll also say we looked at a lot of different days of the week other than Wednesday, but we felt like the highest teacher attendance days were on a Wednesday as opposed to doing it on a Monday and Friday. We looked at that data and felt that was the wisest way to go. To accommodate, again, for those 30 minutes that will be starting later, those do not count as our instructional time to the State Department. We will be needing to extend the school day by 5 minutes each day, and that will not just impact on Wednesdays, but actually every day of the school year. So we will be again increasing it, be a normal end of the school day like any other day of the week. Again, I want to emphasize the time is needed to improve our PLC and RTI process. And I would like Mark Officer to come up here because this is such an instructional item. I would like him to give a little bit of background and how this time will be used due to starting 30 minutes later.
Thank you, sir. We are excited about this possibility. Teachers have got to the point that they're almost begging us to make this happen. Principals have done a wonderful job the last 3 or 4 years to do unique things with bell schedules and master schedules and duty coverage and all those things in an effort to try to allow teachers this opportunity to meet. And it's always a hardship for them. They give up a planned period. They give up time before school or after school. If it's after school, we miss a percentage of staff members in each building because they have activities to work with students. And so we're excited about the possibility of this coming to our sites. Mr. Perry did a great job of articulating exactly what PLCs will do. And I think the best way to summarize is really 2 things. We want to shift our focus to be on student learning as opposed to just on teaching and PD in that area. We want to be able to focus on whether or not our kids are getting what we're giving them. And then we want to be able to modify our instruction accordingly whenever we find areas where they're struggling. And likewise, we want to be able to modify our instruction accordingly whenever we find areas where kids can be challenged more and where we can enrich the curriculum. And that's the whole point of a PLC. There's kind of a 4-step process. You identify the important skills. You ask if kids got it or not. You figure out what you can do to help those that didn't and what you can do to help those that did. This will give us 50 minutes each Wednesday morning to concentrate on those 4 questions. And that will be the sole purpose of those meetings of anywhere from 3 to 9 teachers, depending on what site you're at. They'll have meetings on their core and grade level areas, and they'll focus on kids and what we need to improve, what we need to do to improve instruction. And it's just a natural step to RTI. All the pros, all the researchers will say you can't do RTI without quality PLCs. And we've seen evidence of how response to intervention is helping students today with some of the things that we're doing. And we're really excited about adding this next step so we can just shore up those processes even more.
Thank you.
Okay. I just want again him to talk about this because this is such an instructional item, and emphasize this time will be set aside and there will be a structure to that time that teachers will follow. It will not be a time for faculty meetings. It's not time for principal to get up there and talk about, go through a bullet list of items for the school. It is time for teachers to get in the groups with their colleagues and figure out a way to improve that student learning with the data shown. You look at any profession, I don't care if you're a doctor, you're in sales, it doesn't matter the profession. You get time, you have time with your colleagues to improve your career and be able to solve problems. Basically, teachers will be given that time. So I do think it's something that we will look forward to, and I think I could come back in a year from now and report some positive gains that we're seeing during that time. Want to again emphasize that it was a very collaborative process with teachers, principals, parents, district directors, had our transportation, our BNA directors in there. We had members of the BAEA as a part of the process, and they helped greatly and are excited about implementing that. I did want to add that the BAEA, we will have to make some changes to the negotiated agreement to bring that in line with the embedded collaboration days, changing some language, and these tweaks to our negotiated agreement will be brought in December for you to vote on and for them to ratify within their own group. Something I'm very excited about. Again, it did not come easily, the decision to move forward with this. We talked about it and looked at it at every angle possible, but I do, again, think our kids will see a benefit. So I would like to recommend that we adopt the embedded collaboration for the 16-17 school year on Wednesday mornings with a 30-minute late start. And obviously would be open to questions right now that you had about the process.
Any questions?
I did. Mr. Perry, did your committee talk to anything about starting 10 minutes later into an hour of collaboration? Or was it just 30-minute window that you're looking at?
30-minute later start with the students starting, but that would give plenty of time because the teachers report at their normal time during that. So there will be adequate time, about 45, 50 minutes during that each Wednesday morning to collaborate, and
Okay.
that is shown research-wise to be adequate.
So the 7:30 to, I gotcha.
Yep.
Mr. Perry, I want to thank
Yes.
you for the information. It was very extensive and very important. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank my those members of the Instructional Time Task Force, because they put in a lot of work and a lot of time to it.
If there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
We have a motion and second to approve the implementation of embedded collaboration within the instructional school day on each Wednesday. Schools in session, beginning with the 2016-17 school year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
The next item is recommending approval of the 16-17 instructional calendar. Again, this was formed and created by our Instructional Time Task Force, same group, one of the same things we discussed on a regular basis. A couple things that I do want to point out with the calendar, and I believe you have that in front of you now. It's basically the same structure that we have currently, which people have been pretty happy with our current calendar. We did do a few things, as you see visually with the calendar, added some color coding, which I think makes it very easy to read. Two items that we sent out to our certified staff to vote on that impacted the calendar this year. Teachers were given a survey to determine the professional development days. As you recall, this year we did those the 2 days before Labor Day. Instead of doing one in the fall and one in the spring, we did them back to back. Big success for teachers and our instructional team, and they voted to have again those before Labor Day. And we also gave teachers the chance to vote on our parent-teacher conferences. This past year we have done one in PM and one in AM, and this year they voted to do 2 PM days each semester. And one of the reasons for that is it's increased attendance by our parents in the evenings. We see a better turnout, so that follows that. Again, winter break starts on the 21st. That was created so we could have a January 2nd holiday for our 12-month employees. And then that pushes back to the last day of school on May 19th. And we refer to that calendar there on the right bottom corner to map out if we have snow days, that those days could extend for the last day of school.
You know, Mr. Perry, I want to again thank the communications staff, certainly yourself and anyone else who's involved in putting this calendar together, because it informs our community and our staff members. It allows them to plan, and that is so important because it's treating everyone with respect, and I just really appreciate that very much.
And I agree, and again, thank the task force, because I know a lot of districts don't get theirs out till the springtime, and we really got on it and make sure that our employees have that opportunity to see a year in advance early.
If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the proposed 2016-17 school year instructional calendar. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, Ms. Natalie Ina.
Good evening. These are the figures from where the district stood as of the end of October. General fund, our state aid revenue is, we were collected right at about $12.5 million of our initial $46.6 million allocation. We fully expect to receive our midterm adjustment in January based off the October 1 official count. At this point, we're not really sure with the status of the state budget, whether any of the factors will be adjusted to reflect the
state's economic condition, of course, we are fully hoping that the factors will remain intact and our midterm adjustment will be what we projected for the beginning of the year operating budget. Our FBA is also coming in pretty well from what we expected. As you can see in our state sources, the health insurance premiums are going up beginning January 1, and the FBA amount that our employees receive have been adjusted to that amount of the health choice premium. So that revenue is continuing to come in pretty well as expected. Everything else in our federal sources and our intermediate sources is pretty much on track from where we were at this point last year. Building fund, you can see our ad valorem is really our main source of revenue to date. Our ad valorem is expected to come in January, which will of course be our big revenue collection for this fund. Earlier in the evening, Ms. Bergwald talked about the PSO rebates, and those are deposited into this fund and are very much appreciated, since we do have such a very limited stream of revenue for our building fund, and you can see those reflected in the other local sources of revenue, and that $40,000 contribution will be reflected into next month's reports. Child nutrition, good news is we're up in our local and our federal collections. We will receive our state claim in January for our state sources, so you'll see a revenue boost in that category. General fund expenditures, you can see our categories across the board remain pretty well stable from where we were last year. A little bit of an increase in our salaries and benefits, but the 3% stipend that the board approved remained consistent from what we had done in the previous year, so there wasn't as much of an increase or an effect into our fund balance from that disbursement. Our employee travel, professional development is remaining stable and consistent with what we've done in the previous year, and we do receive a slight state allocation for professional development for our district. That's about $114,000. Building fund, the good news is last year we did have some one-time expenses in our building fund, and so you can see the expenditures this year have gone down slightly, even though we are relying on building funds, since some of our bond funds from 2009 have dropped off, and really we're just operating off the annual allocations that we receive from bond funds and the specialized areas of instruction and athletics and fine arts. So our building fund is bearing a little bit more of that burden, but the one-time expenditures you can see were some of the outliers from what we had last year. Child nutrition, the good news is in child nutrition our food expenditure was a little bit elevated at this point last year because we had purchased commodities and food ahead of time, and this year we're not seeing as big of rising costs, so we are pretty much where we need to be at in that category. I assume that we'll probably be catching up with that as the year progresses. And our ending fund balance is on track to remain right at that $14 million level, and we'll keep monitoring that as the year goes on.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Next item, Ms. Donna Dollahan.
Good evening. I'm here to give the treasurer's reports at the end of October. The cash balances report shows a total of $30,835,000 for the district. Included in this total are district investments of $19,340,000. Our fund security and deposit report shows a total of $62,017,000 in collateral that's pledged to the district. The deposits that require collateral total $21,119,000, leaving an available balance of collateral in the amount of $40,898,000.
Okay, if there are any questions, I would certainly entertain those. If not, just go ahead and move to the next item.
The activity funds receipts so far total $2,698,000. Disbursements total $1,111,000, leaving a balance in the activity funds of $3,435,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is Kathy Menavalis.
Good evening. You have before you tonight $652,369.54 in encumbrance orders. These encumbrance orders go from October 14th to November 5th, 2015, and I would recommend your approval of those, please.
All right, if there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the encumbrance reports for all funds for the 2015-16 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
Next item are the change orders, also running from October 14th to November 5th, 2015. These show a decrease of $61,692.72, and I'd recommend your approval of those change orders.
I would entertain a motion if there are no questions.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the change order reports for general fund, cooperative fund, building fund, workers' compensation, bond funds, gift funds, and child nutrition fund for the 2015-16 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item, Mr. Ed Fager.
Good evening again. I'm here with item number 62, which is a discussion and vote on board policy number 6240, which is a new policy regarding the employee retirement program. We're adding this policy to meet the requirements of the Governmental Accounting Standards Board statement number 68, and also the requirements of the review boards for the district's comprehensive financial report, or CAFR. The policy has been reviewed by legal counsel, and they've suggested one change, which is reflected in this version.
Are there any questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the proposed revisions to Board Policy 6240, Employee Retirement Program in Section 6, Business and Technology. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item under new business, there is none, so we'll move to the next item, which is the executive session.
Make a motion to move to executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and second to move into, to approve going into executive session in accordance with State Statute 25 OS Section 307B3 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act to discuss the purchase or appraisal of certain real property, and pursuant to Oklahoma Statute Title 25 Section 307B1 and 7 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act to discuss the 2015-16 fiscal year evaluation of the superintendent. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
All right, have a good night.
I would entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
I make a motion to return to regular session.
Second.
The acting clerk of the board will read the minutes. The Board of Education and Dr. Mendenhall and Michelle Bergwall entered into executive session at 7:55 p.m. Then at 8:50 p.m., Michelle Bergwall and Dr. Mendenhall left. During the executive session, there was discussion of the purchase or appraisal of certain real property in accordance with Statute 25 OS Section 307B3 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act. And after Dr. Mendenhall and Ms. Bergwall left the executive session, there was discussion of Oklahoma Statute Title 25 Section 307B1 and 7 of the Open of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act to discuss the 2015-16 fiscal year evaluation of the superintendent. The Board of Education returned to open session at 9 p.m. This constitutes the minutes of the executive session. Moving forward, the next item on the agenda is discussion or vote. Can you move back one?
You have to read it off of there, Cheryl.
Yes, you will have to read it.
Number 66.
Okay. We are now, the next item on the agenda is to discuss or vote to approve or disapprove the payment of a performance stipend with the terms discussed in executive session.
I move that the superintendent be paid a one-time $15,523.83 performance incentive stipend under the terms of his employment contract with the district, subject to all lawful withholdings, with such performance incentive stipend to be paid in December 2015.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and second to issue a performance stipend per the superintendent contract. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Yes.
You want this?
Yeah.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you.
Hey, Karen, I'm going to leave this envelope for you, okay?
Okay.
And I'll just take what's in it.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Well, there's some minutes and stuff that you might
Margaret
need.
Hudson.
Have we to adjourn?
Oh, I make a motion to adjourn.
I mean, we have to look.
Thanks, Teresa.
Make
Okay,
a
we have
motion
a
to-
motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second to
Amen.
adjourn.
Can I get an
Please
amen?
call the roll.
Get an amen?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
You know what else?
I would entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
I make a motion to return to regular session.
Second.
The acting clerk of the board will read the minutes. The Board of Education and Dr. Mendenhall and Michelle Bergwall entered into executive session at 7:55 p.m. Then at 8:50 p.m., Michelle Bergwall and Dr. Mendenhall left. During the executive session, there was discussion of the purchase or appraisal of certain real property in accordance with Statute 25 OS Section 307B3 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act. And after Dr. Mendenhall and Ms. Bergwall left the executive session, there was discussion of Oklahoma Statute Title 25 Section 307B1 and 7 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act to discuss the 2015-16 fiscal year evaluation of the superintendent. The Board of Education returned to open session at 9 p.m. This constitutes the minutes of the executive session. Moving forward, the next item on the agenda is discussion or vote. Can you move back one?
You have to read it off of there, Cheryl.
Yes, you will have to read it.
Number 66.
Okay. We are now, the next item on the agenda is to discuss or vote to approve or disapprove the payment of a performance stipend with the terms discussed in executive session.
I move that the superintendent be paid a one-time $15,523.83 performance incentive stipend under the terms of his employment contract with the district, subject to all lawful withholdings, with such performance incentive stipend to be paid in December 2015.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and second to issue a performance stipend per the superintendent contract. Please call the roll.
You want this?
Yeah. Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you.
Hey, Karen, I'm gonna leave this envelope for you, okay?
Okay.
And I'll just take what's in it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, there's some minutes and stuff that you might
Margaret
need.
Hudson.
Have we have to adjourn?
Oh, I make a motion to adjourn.
I mean, we had to vote.
Thanks, Teresa.
Make
Okay,
a
we have a
motion.
motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second to
Amen.
adjourn.
Can I get an
Please
amen?
call the roll.
Get an amen?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
You know what else we could use that Indian Springs for? Here's what else we could use the Indian Springs for, okay? Put a ropes course out there and do professional development and bring kids and do some ropes activities.
Some team building stuff for
Yes.
them, yeah.
All